DJI Ronin S and is currently one of, if not the best camera gimbal currently available, according to the internets. The only problem is I can't tell if it's a very good gimbal because I've never owned any gimbals before. It's my very first gimbal purchase and I'm not really sure why I bought it, to be honest. Okay, that's a lie, I know exactly why I bought it. It's because I'm a crummy handheld shooter. I can't hold a camera steady enough to try and get some kind of decent shot. Case in point, this shot from Japan. The way you get around this camera shake is to shoot in a high frame rate mode and then slow the footage down to make any camera shake less apparent. But that limits the capabilities of your camera, particularly when it comes to resolution output. And it also doesn't help if you have a telephoto lens. So if I zoom this all the way in to get a nice telephoto motion shot to collapse the background, so that if I try and pan the camera around the subject, it will cause the background to kind of swoosh by faster than as if I shot it with a wider angle lens. Unfortunately, getting that kind of shot handheld, even in slow-mo, is incredibly difficult. So that's why I bought this gimbal, to try and assist me to get these shots and to get those nice motion fluidity shots. But before we can go out shooting with this thing, we need to balance this. To start the balancing process, we need to take a quick release plate that comes with it. Now this is a Manfrotto compatible plate. I believe it's the Manfrotto 502PL. Google it. And you'll notice I've got an adapter on here. That is an Arca Swiss plate adapter. And it also plays actually really nicely into using a Sony camera on the gimbal, because the Sony cameras, the lens, if you look at here, the base of the camera and the bottom of the lens are very close, and on some lenses it sticks out lower than the base of the camera. So if you put a big long plate screwed directly to the base, it'll probably hit the lens and cause pressure. So you need to rise it, and it comes with a riser in its little bag over there, but I'm not using it because I have one built in. Okay, first things first, we need to slot in our plate. It goes in frontways. So for now we're just going to lock it down and we're going to mount our camera on it. Quick release my ass. Okay, good, it's in. And as you can see, the gimbal is all unbalanced. So let's get to balancing. We're going to grab the tilt motor up here and we're going to have it so that when we hang the camera down, it should be vertical like this, but it's not. So we're going to unlock the Manfrotto plate and just move it back and forward until it goes into position. And that's pretty level, so let's lock that in. Next step, balancing the tilt. Again, hold it up, turn the camera vertically, and it should just stay there. We're going to take this latch here, undo it, and then just sort of move it around until it balances. Okay, that seems to be pretty good. Okay, now we need to do the roll. Of course, the roll is this one on the back. We're just going to move it back and forward again until it balances. So it's pulling this way a lot, so we need to move it that way. Okay, that seems pretty balanced. Now it's not wibbling around like a dead fish anymore. And there she is, she's balanced. And you can tell because when you move it around to a different position, the camera should just kind of stay there, floating in space. Last thing we need to do is put in the cable. Now, this is my big gripe with this gimbal currently, is that you cannot use the USB cable. So what you should be able to do is plug a cable in here and plug it into the USB on the camera, and that allows you to use the stop start on the grip and also to use the follow focus. The problem is that's only compatible with the GH5 right now. I use a Sony a7 III. I'm out of luck. I have to use this really wonky solution, but it is a solution. It's essentially a stiff wire with an IR emitter on the end that you plug into the end of the gimbal, and it acts as if it's a remote control for the camera. Just pop that in there, and the IR emitter on this, or the receiver for the IR, is just here on the grip, so we just sort of bend the wire until it's in place. So let's turn her on. First off, turn on the battery. Let's turn her on the front. Now we need to open up the app and tune the gimbal. Anyway, we're going to go into auto tune and tell it to tune. That noise always gets me. It sounds like it's tuning a radio. And then we're going to go into the settings, more, and we're going to do our balance test. So the camera will move around smoothly, and this will test our balance to make sure we haven't, got the roll or the pan completely sideways. Excellent, excellent, excellent for roll, pitch, and yaw. Okay, we're good. We're good to go shooting. I went out shooting with the Ronin S, and I just can't even describe how good this gimbal was. It was just astonishingly well performing. Now, I've never used a gimbal, but I didn't realize how powerful they were. So beforehand, anytime I tried to shoot handhold, it would always be shaky. Even when, you put it in Premiere, you warp stabilize it, you do your best. But this thing just negated the concept of software stabilization. It was just, I was shooting this, walking, I was shooting it in underslung mode, which looks a bit like this. I was doing, pans and sweeping, I was just, rising kind of like jib style shots up and down. Zoom the lens into 105mm, walking, perfect. Like trying to do a 105 mil telephoto video shot while also walking, it was an unbelievably good tool, and it made everything just look really slick and really professional in a way that I haven't actually experienced before. So all my video I've ever shot always had that weird hand-holdy kind of look to it. It never looked super pro. But this just completely blew it out of the water. Like, it just made the footage look incredible. That being said, there are 3 problems with this gimbal so far. 2 of them I can remedy, 1 of them I can't. And the one I can't is literally the nature of the gimbal. When you take the top off and you go to put it in your bag, it's an awkward shape. It won't really fit in a bag all that well, so it's quite bulky. It's also quite heavy. This thing's got some weight to it. I was shooting for around 2 hours and I was starting to feel the burn pretty hard. The second thing that I didn't really like about it and really needs to be fixed, but DJI is working on a fix, is that you can't use the USB cable from here to here. This IR emitter that's sitting here, super weird. It works, but it's not good. Really needs the cable. And the last thing is that this is a harder thing to fix, but I couldn't really see the screen very well. Now, when I'm shooting like this, it's okay because the roll arm here isn't actually blocking the screen. But if I have it in underslung mode, like so, it makes it a lot harder to see the screen when you're working on it, and it makes, making sure that you require focus quite tricky. So I think an external monitor is in order. I think Zhiyun has a thing that screws in here into the bottom of the gimbal and adds a second handle down here, which would be really handy to keep this thing a bit easier to hold. And you can mount a monitor here and run a cable up. Apart from those 3 issues, amazing bit of kit to use. It also took me some time to figure out the modes of the gimbal. So the gimbal has 3 modes you can save over here, and these are next to the joystick here. And the 3 modes I set up to be what I think are going to be useful for me in the future based on my experience. Mode 1, standard mode as is. Half speed for everything. Standard pan and tilt, standard responsiveness, and when you move the joystick, the camera moves with a nice bit of speed. Mode 2, same again, except the joystick is half as sensitive. So the camera moves much slower, allowing me to get really slow pans and tilts. And then mode 3. Mode 3 is the fun one, because if you go into mode 3, and then you put the thing into flashlight mode, and by the way, flashlight mode is you literally hold it forward, like so, double tap the trigger. But then you can do what's called roll 360. Now you need to set this up in the app by disabling the tilt and the pan controls on the joystick, so you only have one of the joystick's axes controlling the roll, and when you do that, you can do this. It will roll infinitely, and that gives you that cool, swirly, disorientating shot that you can get, and it looks awesome. But am I happy with this? Yes, it's so good. Has a few downsides, but I can remedy those in the future. But overall, I just can't get over it. It's incredible. It's a really good bit of kit to use. I'm super happy that I bought it, and I'll see you in the next video.